From Tranquility Base to Taurus Littrow to the tranquil waters of the Pacific, the latest chapter of NASA's journey to the moon comes to a close. Orion, back on Earth.
And just like that, the Artemis I mission is complete. From its November launch from Florida, the Artemis I flight test flight traveled more than 270,000 miles away from Earth at its farthest point. And the Orion capsule just incredible on re-entry. 5,000 degree heat upon return as it's coming through the atmosphere at 25,000 miles an hour, and it splashed down yesterday in the Pacific Ocean. Scientists are saying it was within a margin of less than 5 nautical miles from the point that they thought it would splash down. That was all calculated before the thing even launched.
Insane.
It's just absolutely incredible. And they have been just gathering all of the data that's been collected from this incredible flight. They will use all of these findings for the next phases of the Artemis mission.
Proving once again that there are some folks at NASA that are super good at math. So I imagine there was a couple of equations that figured all this out. It's just, it boggles the mind. It really does. Our Isabel Lawrence spoke with an expert at NASA's Glenn Research Center in Cleveland today about the significance of this successful splashdown. It really is a milestone.
Absolutely. It really paves the way for those next missions that we know are really coming down the line here in just a few years. But NASA officials just calling this a huge success. But they know their work isn't over. So as a reminder, this was an uncrewed mission. Artemis II will carry humans into space, and Artemis III will hopefully bring them back to the moon. After a 25-and-a-half-day flight, traveling a total of 1.4 million miles around the moon and back to Earth, there's a lot of information collected that the teams at NASA will have to sift through. For example, they'll be taking a close look at the heat shield on the Orion capsule to make sure it did its job and will keep astronauts safe when returning to Earth. But even though Artemis I launched from Florida and landed off the coast of California, its ties to Northeast Ohio run deep.
First, we did a lot of the major testing out in Sandusky, like we talked about. We had, entire vehicle testing out there, both thermal and vacuum and vibration testing and electrical testing as well. So just a huge amount of it, really, really important testing for the mission out in Sandusky.
And that's not where the Northeast Ohio connection ends. The crew module will actually return to Sandusky for more testing, and I was told that'll be in about a year now.
Yeah, they have parts that they're going to take and they'll hold for Orion II, Artemis II, which will be going up. And you mentioned all the testing of this module that's coming up. So what do you know about Artemis II?
Yeah, that's the big question. So I did ask today when I was at the Glenn Research Center. I was told that the selection for the crew, which is extremely exciting, that's going to be taking place in the next few months here in the beginning of 2023. So we'll know who exactly will be on board. Testing has already been well underway for Artemis II, which will probably launch in 2024. And then the hope, in a perfect world, Artemis III in 2025. It could be pushed to 2026. We'll see. But that's the tentative timeline for right now.
All the timelines have been flexible from the start. So pushing back is not a bad thing. We want safety first. And those astronauts that they choose, the 4 will be the 4 humans that go the farthest from Earth a human has ever been before. So it'll be really incredible. Yeah.
That is pretty cool. Very, very special stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much for getting us up to speed on all that.
Yeah.
Of course.
Good stuff.